Hi guys, time to continue on our journey through the so-called negative emotions, and this week, as I think we promised last week, we will talk about fears. Fears is a very big issue in our lives and something that we face in almost every session we have with the client. Fear could be something that you're trying to hide, either from yourself and or from everyone else. We're all feeling it for different things and for different reasons, but let's dive into it and see more what we have to find out on this subject. So let's see what he has to say. He's downloaded the English language pack.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Yes. So fear is a different negative emotion compared to anger. As we said last week, anger might be, or other negative emotions, might be a driving force to act on something. Fear is often the opposite. That you...
It can be the same.
Yes.
It can drive you to have to act as well.
Exactly.
But in most cases it's the opposite.
And it's also an instinct to withdraw.
Withdraw. Yes. Withdraw.
Okay. Yes.
Withdraw.
So it might be from fire, since fire is not so good for your bodies. Or
at least if we get too close to it.
Yes. Well, you need it, of course.
Yes.
But too close, it's not good. And jumping from a cliff is not good for your body at all. So some fears are built in your system to avoid the body to die too early. Since you are here to learn a lot of things, and it's not so good if you die every time because it...
Oh, there's a cliff. Let's try and see what happens if we take a step outside here.
So you have some deep instinct fears just to survive. But many fears are from things that happened earlier. It starts as a small thing, it might grow. It might be from a past life also. Or as we had as an example in the Swedish version, if there is a parent, an adult that is screaming or shouting to a small child, that child might have a fear of
authorities.
Yes.
Authoritative figures.
When they are grown up. Yes. So, and how to handle it is to observe your feeling. Fear is not a bad thing at all. It's also a good thing. It's as you talked about last week, indicator.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just an indication.
Yes. It's something you have to work on and to release something so you can feel strong and calm inside. You might have to go to someone to release the blockage or blockages that are the reason for the fear in this part of your life, like Markus or someone else that work with that kind of blockages. Or you use other techniques, like as we have suggested earlier, to first observe the emotion, the fear, feel it for a few seconds, accept that your body feel it, and release it through your breath. Since fear is also just not an emotion, but it's an energy. And you might have to do it many, many times. So there are different ways to do it. What more did we say?
Good question. We were talking a bit about anxiety.
And what's the difference between a fear that is saving your life, so to speak, like a warning? Yes. When you meet a person and you get a fear, it might be a warning. It's not a good person for you. Or he or she reminds you from someone else.
And that person, it might be also that you met this person in a previous life.
Yes.
And your encounter in that life was not very pleasant. And if you look at animals and you look at children, they have this instinctively. Yes. They react instinctively if there's a person that they feel, if they get scared of anyone, they back off immediately. Dogs and cats are very good examples of that as well. But it might be either that your body, if you're in your body, detects that this person has not very good intentions, or there's a possibility that there might be not so good intentions, or that you've had, as we said, a previous encounter in a previous life with this person or with someone similar to this person. So that might be a good thing when a fear like that comes up.
When you are in your body, it's easier for you to feel the difference. If it's a fear that comes from your mind or from your past life or back in this life, or it's a warning.
Could also be a collective fear.
Yes, it can be.
Like we were talking about terrorism.
Yes. So fear is very
contagious.
Thank you. I will not try to say that.
No.
So be aware. Where does this fear come from? Or how does it affect you? Are you trying to avoid something? Is it something that can teach you? So don't be afraid of your fear. See it as a good indicator.
Yes, if you look at society, if you look outside of your immediate zone, there's always things that can cause you to be afraid, to cause you fear. I mean, it could be anything from there can be a car hitting me when I go through the door, or there can be a moose running across the road, or there can be a plane crash, or even if I'm not on the plane can crash into my house, or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many things that we can fear if we choose to. Some of us have a tendency more towards that, looking for that any and every way they can, and others has a tendency to do the opposite. And some people has a tendency to try to face all their fears. They see it as something that they need to charge at, to face, to confront.
Yes, challenge.
Yes, in some cases it's a good thing to challenge your fears. In others, it's not a very good idea.
It might be a too big risk for the
Yes.
physical body. So
Take it in small steps
yes,
at a time.
yes. But there are of course lots of different fears. It might be a fear of not being enough, fear of not having time enough. Yes, lots
Now we're getting into next week's
yes,
clip, which will be about stress,
yes,
because this all comes into the subject of stress, which is something, especially at this time of year, most of us feel. And if you're not there yet, I bet that in a couple of weeks you will definitely be feeling more stress. And if you don't, yes, that's where we all want to be. So therefore, stress is a subject who is very deeply connected to fear.
yes,
Fear of lacking,
exactly.
especially.
And as we have talked about earlier, and it's of course the same with fear. If you are in your body, you will not feel that kind of fear, because you will see that it's connected to something else, and it's not a survival fear. A negative person might be a survival fear. So, might be, doesn't have to be. So, since we can
We can go on forever on this
Yes.
subject.
but now you know a little bit about it, and don't be afraid of watching or observing this feeling. It's just an emotion.
And the emotion in itself will not bite you.
No. Feel it and accept and release it until you feel that. And if it doesn't help you, you're still in your head.
That would apply to the very majority of us, myself included, I'm afraid. I spend far too much time in my head still, but I'm working on it.
Yes.
So anyway, until the stress of next week, we wish you all the best and send you, as usual, lots of love and blessings,
Yes.
and hope to see you next week. Bye for now.